month we thought we'd take a different perspective. Normally we explore substance abuse and use and its effects on our community and our school. But this time we're going to take a little different twist, and we're going to introduce one of my favorite students that I just met this year, and his name is Joshua Rogato, and he's a senior. Welcome this morning. And we would see each other in guidance. He was an intern, and you know, we just run into each other. Then we started talking, and I asked him, you know, what was his goal, and what, you know, how did he navigate through Methuen High for 4 years and do the things that he was involved in. And we struck up a very close friendship right off the bat, and I said, you know what? Every time you pick up the paper, every time you watch the news, every time it's a heroin overdose, it's fentanyl explosion, it's this, it's that, and that's true, no doubt. No doubt we are besieged by a drug and alcohol problem. But you know what? There's a mythology to that. There's a mythology that all Methuen High School or Andover High or whatever students are using drugs and alcohol. And this is a fine example of a young man who's going to tell you a little bit about his background, a young man who seems to know how to navigate through the ups and downs of being a teenager with all the same pressures that everyone else has, and has been able to just really make the right decisions most of the time. So I'm very excited to have someone like yourself on the show, and again, I welcome you. Give the audience, if you were speaking to the Methuen High School 7th and 8th graders, tell them what it was like to the transition of coming up to the high school and some of the pressures that you may have been under on what group to go with and what decisions to make as you're trying to find your way.
Well, like in middle school at the Marsh Grammar School, everyone was very close and connected. So like leaving the Marsh was very like tough for a lot of people at my school because we were all sort of like a family. And like as I talked to the other schools around, like not really they were as close as us. And I was, of course, ready for high school, but I made a lot of friends by playing sports, and that's like a big thing. If you play a lot of sports, then you're going to have more friends. And obviously, you don't go into high school saying, oh, I'm going to go into this friend group, or I'm going to go with this friend group. So you have to kind of find your way out and find kids that are alike in the same way as you, and like kids that are, like have the same morals as you.
Okay. So it sounds so simple, and maybe it is that simple. We spend millions of dollars in trying to understand why our children are so predisposed, despite all their knowledge and all of the information that's provided to them, to stay away from substances, and yet they still go that way. Was there a day, a month, an event, a situation when you said to yourself as a young boy or young man, I'm not gonna do drugs. I'm not gonna choose that path? Was there any time that you could remember where you made a conscious effort? That's not the route I'm going.
Well, I never had the intention to ever do drugs or drink a lot of alcohol, but I, like, going into soccer, I knew that, like, as a freshman, as a senior, I wanted to become a captain of the team, or maybe even a junior. So I looked up to a lot of the guys on the team, and like, you know, Shane Godak, for example, and he was like, I looked up to him a lot, and he is an amazing person, great leader. He's doing big things right now, and like, I saw that in a couple years, I wanted to be like him, and he doesn't do any of that stuff. So I said, why do I have to do that stuff if he doesn't as well? Yeah. He was basically a role model to me, so it helped a lot.
So being a role model, and that's really the rationale behind the whole SAD program. I think Shane had been with us from either 7th or 8th grade, where kids of like-mindedness, where they wanted to stay healthy. Not that they were perfect, but that they just didn't want to get involved with all the trouble that can be associated with drug use, whether it's your grades, whether it's fighting with your parents, whether it's always being sad or mad. You saw what you liked, you had a good role model, so being a role model is very important. It's positive peer pressure in a way. I want to be like that person, and it seemed when I remember Shane on our program, and when I asked him, it wasn't any deep psychological spiritual experience that he had that he wasn't going to. It almost seemed like it was just not going to happen for him. He was choose not to go down that road. Have you ever been put into a situation? Have you ever been in a car and all of a sudden someone does start to smoke weed? Or have you ever been at a party where everyone's drinking and it looks like, maybe I want to? Any of that ever come across your plate?
I mean, stuff like that's always going to happen, and you have to make that right choice. And like when I was a sophomore here, obviously when I was a freshman, we were on the freshman campus, so like we weren't really exposed to a lot of upperclassmen.
Right.
So my sophomore year, I came here, and like I made my best friends were mostly seniors. So, sometimes they made bad choices, but they were great friends. I love the guys, but sometimes like I was like, guys, like I'm not like this. You know what I mean? Like if you guys are gonna do that stuff, just drop me off at home or just do that stuff. And then as the year went on, like kind of like drifted as friends because like I was just this young sophomore compared to these older seniors. So.
Have you ever lost a friendship over that individual, male or female, deciding to go down the route of experimentation with drugs and alcohol?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think a lot of people do because it's such like a big controversy right now in everyday life. I mean, you have a lot of people saying that, oh, it's fine. Like, I do it. I like smoke marijuana every day, and I'm healthy. I'm fine. I go out about your day, but like, I don't know why you have to. And yeah, I have a lot of my close friends. Some people have started to smoke marijuana and drink alcohol, and like, of course, I want to still be their friend, and like, I still talk to them, but I'm just not as close with them.
Yeah. So there's something about it that when you are involved with in a relationship, when drugs start to come into it, you intuitively know to back off a little bit. I know just from all the years of experience that I have that it's very hard to trust someone that's using substances. And, they don't mean to break that loyalty, but sometimes it does happen. Let's talk about the respect that we see. Methuen High is just like many other urban / suburban high schools, 2,000 kids all coming from different backgrounds and whatever. For the most part, kids are respectful. For the most part, kids, follow the basic rules. We give them a lot of opportunities to grow, to help them. You work in guidance, so you see a ton of kids coming through that department trying to get extra help and whatever. But you are also seeing some incidents where kids have been extremely rude and fresh, so to speak. What's your gut reaction to that?
I'm like a really respectful person. Like, I mean, of course I'm not perfect. I don't think anyone's perfect, and you're gonna have people that don't like you and people that like you. But like, if someone respects you, then you should just respect them back. Like, I don't know why it's so hard for like some people at the high school or like anywhere where just like can't happen. And like, we were talking about how like you deal with some people that are very like rude and disrespectful, and I was like, I kind of believed you, and I was like, really? And then we walked up to the library, and people are like screaming at teachers and stuff. So it's like crazy to see that like high schoolers can't respect their teacher who's putting the time and effort in to educate them on certain things.
I think, even though that was an isolated case, it certainly was ironic, because our whole mission here today to tell you, the Methuen community, that there are so many fine women and young men that attend Methuen High, that's what we wanted to showcase. Instead of always bringing in people that have had substance issues and have recovered, and God bless them, that they have, and now they're contributing members of society. But the idea and this mythology that all kids coming up here are under the influence of this drug or that drug is a mythology. It's a lie. It's not true. Now, granted, one kid using substances when they're 14 or 15 is one too many. And to say that there isn't an issue up here would be a lie. But I wanted this morning for you and the people that you represent to have a voice, because there's not many forums for you to get up and speak out and say, hey, you know what, there's a right way and a wrong way of handling a conflict. there's a right way and a wrong way of dealing with your emotions. Because have you experienced disappointment?
Yeah.
A little bit, right? Have you disappointed? Have you experienced frustration?
Yeah.
Have you experienced anger? You've experienced the whole scope of human emotions, but for whatever reason, you have decided, I'm going to stay straight, I'm going to stay sober, and as a result of that, Methuen High is gone by, and so what are our plans for next year?
Well, I'm going to attend University of New Hampshire, and I'm
Okay.
studying communication.
Right.
And I want to, go into this field because I chose a four-year college because I want what's best for me. And it was a very hard process. Like, you never know what's going to happen. You never know if you're going to go to a community college for 2 years and then move on.
Sure.
And college is very expensive
It
nowadays,
is.
and I don't know, it's just a big business, big business. And so rationally, I made my decision, and like I'm very happy with my decision. And who knows what you're going to like. And like,
Yeah.
as a student, you don't pick a college really because of the academics. You go to a campus, and if you feel good there, you like it.
Yeah.
So if you like the food there, you like it. If you like the mascot, you like it. So there's a lot of misleading things about deciding where you want to go and like stuff like that.
A lot of pressure too,
Yeah.
right? A lot of people asking you where you're going, what are you doing, and your parents are under a lot of pressure. What role has your parents played in the kind of young man? A lot of times students that have drug and alcohol problems, the old days it was their parents' fault. There must have
Yeah.
been something that their parents didn't do or did do. I don't know how true that is, but I do know that something must have gone right with you to have the
Yeah.
mindset you have. How did they contribute to you being the type of young man that you are?
Definitely a lot. Like I say, a lot of it comes from my parents, and I say a lot of the ways kids grow up are from their parents. What your parents do, you look up to, and of course, there's times where you're not going to get along with your parents. And it's like cool because like my mom was born in Italy, and she came over here as a very young child, and it's like her family came here to give her a better life, and I love that. And I've got everything handed down to me, and I'm not going to sit here and say I've done everything myself. My parents have helped me pretty much the whole way, and I
Sure.
love that. And of course, I've done independent things, but they've definitely helped me a lot.
Yeah, so you have your foundation, you've built it, you've built a very strong foundation, and now you're just going to be heading to the next part of your journey. Well, I thank you for coming on. Sometimes, students are a little nervous about projecting whether they're perfect or they're too goody shoes or whatever. And I'm glad that you had the courage to say, no, there are many like myself. There are many, many students in Methuen Public Schools that are doing the next right thing. We may not get a lot of recognition sometimes because people with problems, there's a lot of energy spent on them, and they need extra help, and thank God we have that. But also for the kid who shows up every day, who goes to the class, that doesn't create any drama, I say bravo. That was not my experience. I wish I had been more like you as a young student. But I'm really proud of you, and I'm really glad I met you. And as soon as I met you, I knew that I wanted to have you come on the show and to tell the people in Methuen, the 5 people who might watch this show, that there are many of you, and we have a lot to be proud of. So thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing but good things going to happen for you.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. This was the conclusion of Let's Talk with Dean Brouder. Next month we'll have something else special for you, and please spread the word. If your child is having any issues or problems, you can please feel free to call 978-273-4812 or call me at the high school. Methuen Public Schools has a lot to be proud of, and it's only as a result of the principal here at Methuen High, the superintendent, the school committee. The whole city has a lot to be proud of when we look at Methuen High and its students. So thank you very much. Thank you for coming on and sharing your experience, and we'll see you next week.